Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain.
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Oh, who lives in a carrier up in the sky?
Captain Rogers.
Whose is American as apple pie?
Captain Rogers.
If patriotism be something you wish.
Captain Rogers.
Who jumps on Bucky and blubs like a fish?
Captain Rogers.
Captain Rogers. Captain Rogers. Captain Rogers. Captain Rogers.
And after that very SpongeBob-erific introduction, we are joined by Mr. Paul Kerman. How do you do, sir?
I think you may know me by another name. Star-Lord.
Who?
Come on, Star-Lord? Legendary Outlaw?
And of course, we are excited, aren't we excited? We are excited to talk about the superheroes of the year. And do you mean the DC crossover? That is The Flash and Supergirl? No. Do you mean the dawn of the Justice League movie? That is the Lego Batman movie? Still no. But do we mean a certain Marvel epic coming our way?
Could it be a war raging?
A war between two factions that were supposedly on the same side? Like a civil war?
Oh, no, you feel me? I thought it was going to be Spider-Man.
Ah, typical. Well, of course.
Spider-Man. It does have him.
Well, of course, we are excited for Captain America Civil War, the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's looking pretty darn good from what we've seen.
Very much so. I mean, let's break it down. On the one side, we've got Captain America's team with Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, the Falcon, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch.
And Emily Van Camp's Agent 13 is rumoured to be on that side, but not seen in any footage yet.
I think they're keeping her for a surprise. Something surprising.
Yeah.
Maybe because a lot of her scenes, just going by that one tiny shot where she's in the background, seem to be with Martin Freeman's character, who will be very interesting, I am sure. But
I mean, the thing is, I know she's going to get into some action. She has to. She's Agent 13. I mean, the Funko Pop's got her with her batons.
Exactly. Not just that. The Lego sets from Civil War show Agent 13 among the huge airport battles, so expect to see her there.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because despite a few misleading Lego sets in the past, Lego are more or less on the ball with leaking very spoilery details about upcoming movies, especially the aforementioned set, which has a version of a character that obviously we haven't seen yet, and we thought, wait a minute, that wasn't even announced. But you'll see if you've seen the set.
Well, it was bound to happen eventually, but judging by the movie.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other side, we have Tony Stark along with War Machine, Black Widow, The Vision, Black Panther as well, who will be joining the team, and Underoos.
Hey, everybody. I'm excited.
It's you!
I'm excited to see what it's going to turn out to be, because as much as everybody complained about the Amazing Spider-Man universe, I really enjoyed it. Partially because it threw things back to the comics that hadn't been addressed for a long time.
I think one of the main quarrels with it to begin with, especially the first Amazing Spider-Man, was the fact that we were repeatedly told it's going to be the untold story, and we got more or less the same story. That the only untold stuff were the things that were going to be expanded upon in future movies. Really.
Well, I mean, the one thing that annoyed me most about the original ones is that it completely ignored Peter's parents.
Yes.
And now we get this stuff about his parents, and it's building up, and Venom was coming. The good Venom was coming.
Yes.
He was in that train car. The Venom cure for cancer, the Venom suit was in there, that they had in the Ultimate series. You didn't see it, but it was there. I'm just trying to think about how much I'm going to miss Andrew Garfield on screen.
Yeah, it's a damn shame.
It was good.
That was like the highlights, not just Andrew Garfield, but him with Emma Stone.
Yeah. I mean, the way he delivered all of his lines.
Yes.
When he just said, like, in the last minutes of Amazing Spider-Man 2, on behalf of the fine city of New York, I request that you put your giant robotic paws in the air and surrender. I kill you until you die. You want me to come down there so you can kill me? Be right there. Just every single line was written with Andrew Garfield's delivery in mind in their movies, and that's what made it work.
Yeah, definitely. But it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
But the newcomer, Tom Holland, we've seen like around 5 seconds of footage of him. He's had 2 words to say that we've heard, but what do we think of him? First impressions.
I like the suit. It just annoys me that it looks like it was a bit rushed CGI towards the end of it.
This is the thing I said. The fact that everything in Civil War, especially the trailer where he was revealed, looks so in place, and then when Spider-Man comes in, it looks like an unfinished CGI job. To me, it just stuck out like a sore thumb, and I thought, yeah, okay, like Jurassic World, when we get to the final picture, it'll look even better. But at the moment, moment, it just looked a bit blobby.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that introduction wasn't brilliant.
No, when I saw that, it was like, it's like, woohoo! Superhero landing! Superhero landing in the house!
Hey,
It was a great entrance.
that's really bad in your knees, apparently.
Yeah, it is, and
Yeah.
it's really painful. But
yeah.
you know, it was a nice thing, and when you were reading Spider-Gwen, the issue that came out that month shows Spider-Gwen holding Cap's shield,
Well, there you go.
and then it was like, whoa, what's happening?
The planets are aligning. But going back to the eyes, that was another thing that threw me off a bit. The fact that, wait, how are the eyes moving? Does that make sense? And then, yeah, I can kind of get why they did that.
Yeah.
To begin with, because obviously, especially in the older comic books, you know, the thickness of the black and the size of the iris, you know, they vary. But you had to zoom in to really see what was going on with the eyes in the trailer, and they're actually like camera lenses.
Yeah.
And it looks like, especially because Tony Stark called him out, it looks like that Stark's probably been helping him with the tech of his suit. And not only is that, you know, a brilliant setup for a potential Iron Spider costume, but because they resemble camera aperture pieces, it kind of references Peter Parker's photography for the Daily Bugle.
I mean, we've seen him as Spider-Man, and we're liking him as Spider-Man.
Yes.
It's how we take him as Peter Parker, which is the other half to seal the deal.
Yeah.
With all of the characters that we've got in Civil War so
Exactly.
far that we've seen, we've taken to the civilian side, and we've taken to the billionaire playboy side, and we've taken to the superhero side.
What's funny as well is, Kevin Feige pointed this out as well, is that when Iron Man came on the scene, 2008, that was the anti-superhero identity movie, because obviously Tony Stark at the end revealed that he was Iron Man, and it was like going against the grain at the time of hidden identities. But now, because that's now a thing in the MCU, they've sort of said, we need a secret identity now. So, you know, Spider-Man came along at the right time in that respect. It'd be good to see how both Peter Parker and Spider-Man play in Civil War. And not just because I'm wondering, does Tony Stark know who he is?
Tony Stark will know. This is a good point to bounce off of, because I was going to say, what do we think is going to be happening?
Yeah.
In contrast to the comic book Civil War. In the comic book Civil War, Peter Parker had been Spider-Man for approximately comic book years, 10 years of roughly, and he revealed publicly, with
Yes, he
Iron
did,
Man's
yeah.
backing, to much outcry from the fans and everything, that he was Spider-Man.
Yeah, to sort of solidify his side of the Civil War argument.
Until the point when he decided that he didn't actually agree with Tony's standpoint anymore.
Yeah.
And the fact he discovered that Tony was capturing superheroes and locking them up if they weren't signing up onto the registration.
Yes.
And then he went to see Cap's side and was there in the final battle, smashing Iron Man in a bit. Which was quite an interesting scene. But with the original Civil War comics, I did find some of it tedious.
Yeah.
And it looks like the Russos have learnt from that comic book and said, right, we're going to take out the tedious sides. From what I've seen in the trailer, there's plot points that are going to be picked up, which is, obviously, being held accountable straight away, because that's in there when...
Yeah, with the Sokovia Accords, yeah.
Obviously, a prison for those who don't choose to align, which seems to be rising out of the sea.
Yes.
That looks like that will be the prison centre, not in the negative zone as it was in the comic books.
Because of rights issues.
Yeah. We've got the opposing arguments, which
Yeah.
are quite clearly set in stone, pro-registration, anti-registration,
Yes.
and that side. We also have the definitive Cap, Iron Man conflict, which is what pushed most of Civil War forward. Who will hit who first and who will... that.
Or in this case, it's which boyfriend will Captain America kiss first. That's for you, Tumblr.
But what I'm interested in to see is what they're going to bring that's new, because Civil War led to a lot of deaths of characters.
Yes, it did.
And a lot of re-establishment.
You mentioned how will Spider-Man play with all these characters already in the fray. And I don't know if they actually confirmed it. I mean, obviously you can't. But I think they hinted that someone's going to get squeezed out in a bad way. And from the way it looks in the trailers, War Machine's going to get it. That's how it initially looks. Obviously, they wouldn't tell us that he gets killed in the trailer. I mean, that's ridiculous. But, you know, what if
Trailers
they...
are
What if
showing
they,
the cost of the battle.
Well, they have to do that. But what if Marvel's playing a double bluff? Like, what if they're showing War Machine getting struck to say, that can't possibly happen because we've shown it in the trailer, and then in the film, oh, he did.
It could be because they've got all these characters and they've now got so many characters they won't know what to do with them all.
Yeah.
I've heard rumours of many characters getting killed off in that movie.
Yeah.
I've heard Scarlet Witch, I've heard War Machine, I've heard even Bucky might die. because obviously of what's happening.
Yeah.
I've even heard, obviously, if you've not read the comic book Civil War and you don't know what happens at the end of it, please mute your set for 30 seconds.
Spoiler alert!
Yes, the spoiler alarm is going off. Captain America surrenders and he ultimately is put on trial for crimes against the United States because he's on the opposing side, and on the steps of the court he is assassinated. That's a different story. But the Captain America is shot on the steps when he's going into the Capitol building to plead his case. Who shoots him is quite a different story whatsoever, so I'm not going to spoil that, because if they use that line in this movies, you don't want to know who shoots him. There are some people that are saying that we're going to be having a rise of some old characters. I mean, there's rumours that the Red Skull may be returning. Yes. I hope so, because obviously Hugo Weaving's spectacular performance. I think he should come back. There's also a interpretation of Baron Zemo confirmed, but not the Baron Zemo that we're accustomed to with the purple balaclava, a different version.
Yes, but it might be like a case of Crossbones, and it might actually be set up so later on in a future installment, very possibly, he might have more of a purpley sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I've heard an interesting point that with Crossbones, that he's the one that sparks, obviously, the debate that's going on, because there is scenes of him and Cap having a showdown in a marketplace.
Yes.
So whether or not it's obviously in his new Crossbones armour, which looks absolutely amazing,
yes.
Whether or not it is obviously a red herring that they've shown there, and it's obviously to do with Bucky that sets it off, which the trailers are throwing in now.
Yeah, because they're throwing in both those options, aren't they? They're basically saying that the confrontation between the Avengers and Crossbones is the final straw that says, look, you've got to behave. You've got to stop the collateral damage and all that. And the other side of it is the explosion of what appears to be the UN. Yeah. And apparently that seriously injures Wakanda's representative, who's apparently related to Black Panther. Yeah. And then Black Panther, of course, blames the Winter Soldier for that explosion, even though we've been told, and we kind of know, that the Winter Soldier doesn't do that anymore. And, the Winter Soldier is yet again a victim in another sense. And it's like the thrust of the movie, why it's essentially a Captain America movie, is Bucky's relationship with Steve Rogers coming back.
It'll be very interesting to see, because obviously you got the reveal that Bucky was the Winter Soldier. You thought he was just a secondary character in the first movie that was just there just for Steve to have an emotional relationship to America with. But obviously those of you who know his comics were aware, obviously, of the big reveal coming, and as soon as you saw the title Winter Soldier, you knew what to expect and you knew what would come in. Winter Soldier turned out to be a near perfect adaptation of the storyline. Yeah. Obviously, different characters replaced with each other, like the Red Skull was in the comic book, whereas it was replaced with a Hydra as an overall.
Yeah, because the main quote-unquote background plot of the Winter Soldier was the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. was a hiding Hydra. Yeah. So, whoops.
Yeah, that's a bit of a whoopsie there.
Yeah, but the thing is, and I think I mentioned this to you straight after we saw the Winter Soldier for the first time, the fact that, and it's kind of clear with the political climate at the moment why they're not going too near that, but the fact that the Winter Soldier has obviously had a Soviet background, and, who else comes from Russia? The Black Widow. And I thought, that would have been perfect to have them have this history with each other. Black Widow obviously had knowledge of the Winter Soldier, however little. Yeah. But I thought it would have been great to sort of explore that a little bit more. But obviously, like I say, would have been a bit touchy. Yeah, I think now could still be touchy.
The climate's still pretty hit and miss on that one.
Just a bit.
What we've got to remember is the Winter Soldier is brainwashed. He knows only what he needs to do, which is to kill targets. Yeah, exactly. And obviously now he's regaining his memories, which we saw at the end of Cap, and obviously what looks to be happening in the Civil War movie as well. Yes. We're going to learn, I mean, if you see the post-credit scene for Ant-Man, we're getting there, we're learning things, and we're obviously going to be learning more about what happened to the Winter Soldier.
Exactly.
So hopefully we'll get to see some nice little flashback scenes as well, because it looks like we're going to get some in there anyway because of the ice base where he's being kept on storage.
Yeah, it looks like they're going back there, and that looks like the final showdown between Cap and Bucky versus Iron Man.
Yeah, and a pretty nice scene of them passing the shield between the two of them and bashing him. Yeah. Slap, 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 slap. And to quote one of my favourite Spider-Man games, the Ultimate Spider-Man game, when he's facing the giant flaming green goblin, he goes, "What did the hand say to the face?" Slap!
Yes.
Yes.
It makes sense.
What we're getting from Marvel as well is we're not getting one Civil War this year, we're getting two Civil Wars, aren't we?
Oh, yes, because in the comics, probably because of the MCU, the actual comics verse where everything begins, they're starting a brand new Civil War.
Which could have been referred to as Minority Report in a way because of what I've read recently, which is what the argument is. The opposing side this time is obviously you've got Iron Man again, obviously saying that people, when they commit the crime, they need to be held responsible for the crime. But Captain Marvel taking a quite interesting stand of the Minority Report plan. What if people are stopped before they commit the crime? And it's an Inhuman line that they're going down because an Inhuman has that ability apparently that's coming in to actually see the future and see potential crimes.
Apparently in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're going to introduce a character like that as well. Probably most likely the same character. Yeah. But I've read a little bit that says this is what this new Inhuman character in the show is going to do. And it's all connected.
The sides for this Civil War just seem completely bonkers. You've got Iron Man, the Captain America this time, but it's not Captain America, it's the Falcon interpretation of Captain America. So Captain Falcon we will refer to him as. He's also, I think he's got the totally awesome Hulk. Don't even ask her why Adamus Chow is now the Hulk and Bruce Banner is no longer the Hulk. Lord only knows. Star-Lord is on Captain America's side. I don't know why they brought Star-Lord in on that one because he's working currently as the Emperor Spartex and it's just weird. Captain Marvel's side, an interesting roster of the She-Hulk. Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man, not the Miles Morales who's recently arrived. Miss Marvel, Kamala, is obviously on Captain Marvel's side.
Well, yeah.
And the Blue Marvel as well is on one of the sides and I can't remember who. And the Blue Marvel I'd never even heard of, but he's one of these newer characters that's just getting quite a lot of prominence over recent years.
Yeah.
Whereas the original Civil War was quite grounded and you got that point of obviously these people are going to be on this side and these people are going to be on this side. Like the Punisher not wishing to reveal identities. He worked as a hitman for Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. Oh, and Steve Rogers, who will be returning to the mantle of Captain America in the near future, is going to be on Captain Marvel's side. So once more, we find Captain America, Steve Rogers versus Iron Man.
Yeah.
How that's going to pan out, I don't know.
But the thing that's definitely caught my eye as a Captain Marvel fan is the fact that she's leading the opposing side against Stark, and as well as that, the fact that Kamala Khan and Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, is on her team as well. As soon as I realised that, I didn't really care what the argument was. I was on their side.
I mean, the Kamala Corps have pretty much won you over again, it seems.
Both the Kamala Corps and the Carol Corps.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just reading...
Go Carol Corps!
I'm just reading the team rosters now. So for Iron Man's team, this is the roster so far. Captain America, Sam Wilson. Thor, this is obviously the new Thor. Black Panther, Star-Lord, Luke Cage, Hercules, Miss America, Black Widow, Totally Awesome Hulk, Deadpool and Daredevil. Captain Marvel's team will include... this one's an interesting one as well. Captain America Steve Rogers, War Machine, Spider-Man, Vision, Medusa, Blue Marvel, Winter Soldier, quite acceptable obviously with Steve Rogers tie. Yeah. Spectrum, She-Hulk, Hawkeye and Ant-Man.
Interesting.
So what's surprised me there is actually the inclusion of War Machine on Captain Marvel's side there.
That surprised me as well.
Yeah.
Because,
the punishment before the crime comes to a head when it's predicted that one of the major heroes will be the cause of major destruction and forces the others to make a difficult decision. That is Civil War 2. Coming to you in a comic book near you by Brian Michael Bendis, the man who brought a Secret Invasion, Siege, and possibly the most recent crossovers that we've had, bar Secret Wars. I think he did Original Sin as well, Brian Michael Bendis. And drawn by David Marquez, who is actually a really good artist, and he did a lot of work on Ultimate Spider-Man with Miles Morales. Check it out.
There you go.
Good.
But let's go back to the MCU, because especially at the moment, we've just, I shall say, experienced the latest season of Daredevil on Netflix. Oh my goodness.
That one had Kablawi powers.
Very Kablawi.
Very good.
Now, this is, of course, the most recent entry into the MCU, so, of course, yet again, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
First things first, it's back, and it's on top form as well.
It seems like you could tell they wanted to better themselves from the first season, and especially in episode 3 with the, not just a corridor fight, but a long-take stairwell fight as well.
I was going to say that one, I was just there, I was like this, I love this moment. Wow, this is like love in my face, I'm just looking all over.
Yeah, fighting the dogs of hell.
Yeah,
gosh,
gang. That was one heck of a scene.
And going back to the fact that everything's connected, where have you seen the dogs of hell before?
Oh god, that's throwing me back now. Come on, think. Dogs of hell. Why am I thinking Hulk in somewhere? Because of biker bars.
No, the Dogs of Hell were featured in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the first season, when Lorelei came to Earth after she escaped from Asgard. And the first thing that we saw was Lorelei influencing Dogs of Hell gang members.
That is embarrassing. Speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how have the Avengers not realised that Phil Coulson's still alive?
I don't know. There are two possibilities. Either Director Coulson's S.H.I.E.L.D. has done everything possible to sort of block themselves off from the Avengers.
Yeah.
For one reason or another, because Coulson said to Lady Sif that he wants to tell them he's come back from the dead.
The time's right.
When the time's right, basically. So either they're waiting for that time, or the Avengers do know that S.H.I.E.L.D. still exists, but they just haven't mentioned it in the films yet. But the thing is, Infinity War Part 1 and 2 are coming up some years down the line. By then, surely they must know, not just because it's going to happen sooner or later, but the fact that Infinity War apparently involves, in one way or another, everything that's been in the MCU to that point.
With Infinity War, everything will end. It's going to be one of them big ones. Jumping back to Daredevil now.
Or swinging back to Daredevil, because he got his signature weapon that we know and love him for.
We do, we've got that there. We've also got his romantic liaisons with Lady Elektra.
And I think Elektra was well done.
Yeah, she was very...
Definitely well done.
By the end of the second episode she was in, I was completely sold on her. I mean, I loved her introduction at the start.
That final shot with her. Oh my god, what's happening there? Do we know? That sarcophagus that was featured at the end, what is that about? Is it about actual resurrection? Because Nobu came back from the first season, so...
If anybody remembers the first season, he got pretty badly scarred.
Just a bit.
And burned. But my theories on that are, based on the comic books, the hand obviously has the ability to be able to restore people, obviously through their means, and the hand is a mystical formation. They worship mystical deities.
Yeah.
Elektra has been the leader of the hand previously, in instances.
Yes.
So, obviously, my thinking is the hand has seen potential to bring her through the ranks to be a superior player in the hand. Whether or not that happens is completely up for interpretation.
Yeah.
But...
Well, so far, it's a case of we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Because of, like you say, the mysticism, the quote-unquote mystical powers, that screams one thing that's coming out later this year as well. Doctor Strange.
Yes, because we're going to be bringing in the mystical entities, because Doctor Strange
the magic
leads directly into Iron Fist as well.
Yes, as well. The hand and everything leads into Iron Fist. So. And we've had casting announcements for the Iron Fist Netflix series as well for next year. Completely forgotten them all. The leading lady for the series, she most recently appeared as one of the X-Wing pilots in The Force Awakens, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
nice crossover.
Give us some screen time. Let's give us some screen time.
But just speaking about Doctor Strange, just over the past week as of this recording, they have wrapped production. The final stuff that they did was in actually New York, and Benedict Cumberbatch and Chitwell, they've all been revealed in their full costumes and everything, and Benedict and Chitwell both together. Benedict's in blue with a red cape, Chitwell's in green. I thought it's the new Loki and Thor.
Yep, it's a coming.
And did you see it when Marvel basically broke the internet with how meta they've now become, when they tweeted a photo of Benedict Cumberbatch in full Doctor Strange get-up in a comic shop buying a Doctor Strange comic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marvel has taken over the universe. We are living in the Marvel universe now.
Hooray!
I know.
It just seems as trippy as the descriptions of the Doctor Strange footage some people have seen at D23 last year.
Yeah, now obviously we're going to be bringing in the mysticism. Well, that means we're going to have Dormammu. Ladies and gentlemen, Dormammu is also referred to as Flaming Skullman.
Yes.
Not Ghost Rider. Worse than Ghost Rider.
Despite the fact that Marvel actually have the rights to Ghost Rider as well.
Okay, so it'll be Flaming Headman. But we're going to have a lot of new characters coming in, and we're going to have a lot of new style coming in. Marvel has thrown all of its cards in, and all of the cards are coming up trumps at the moment.
Hey, I wouldn't say all of them. They're still holding back on a few things.
I mean, all the cards that they're throwing in that we get in the pot, in the pot and the pan are coming up really nicely.
Well, I'm referring to one of the biggest omissions that we haven't got yet, and that's a damn Black Widow movie. Come on!
The Black Widow movie is one of them things that will never, unfortunately. Marvel just like to use Scarlett Johansson's character as a secondary player. She's one of them. It annoys me to Kingdom Come. It really does.
It annoys me, yeah. But the thing is, Black Widow's been such a key player in the movies that she's been in.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thing is, the lack of Black Widow film wouldn't annoy me as much if Scarlett Johansson actually spoke up about it as well. Because this is the one thing that's really absolutely baffling to me, is that Scarlett Johansson has had so much input into her interpretation of the Black Widow, even, from the Iron Man 2 days, and she's just evolved and evolved and evolved in all sorts of different ways. But I have never heard, like, an official statement, at least from Scarlett Johansson, saying, yes, we need a Black Widow movie. It's like, is she afraid of speaking out against Marvel? They're not going to fire and recast her,
No, they can't recast a lot of characters now that are in the MCU.
Exactly, because they're so well established. I mean, they've done that with Terrence Howard and Edward Norton, but those were for contractual reasons.
Because Terrence Howard wasn't able to return, was he, for his sequel? Or he didn't want to?
Well, I heard he was too greedy. I heard he wanted too much. And then Edward Norton, couldn't agree on this, that and the other. That was more amicable anyway.
Yeah. There's movies that we're still waiting to have. I mean, the list of movies that we want and what's coming together are quite different, because the list goes on. We want a Black Widow movie, we want a Hulk movie, I want a Miles Morales Spider-Man movie.
And I want a Kamala Khan movie.
I also want that.
And I want She-Hulk in the MCU in whichever capacity.
I'd love to see a She-Hulk Netflix series.
That would be good.
That would make the character a lot more developed than what they'd be able to do in the movies, I think, because
they might complain about budget concerns, but look how much money Netflix has made, come on. But the thing is as well, just going back to Black Widow a little bit, even Robert Downey Jr. has said that Black Widow needs her own film. So it's like, obviously he can say just about anything he wants, because Marvel are not going to get rid of their most bankable actor at the moment. But even he has said that. So, it's just like, since the announcement of Phase 3, the plan for Phase 3, they have shifted it to accommodate both the latest Spider-Man and the Ant-Man and the Wasp. They've shifted it twice. There's no reason why they can't have another insertion again, unless they're finally settled now and they're waiting until they can get around to planning Phase 4.
With Captain America Civil War, I think a lot of the thing is going to be promotion for that, because that's the only major Marvel Cinematic Universe entry that's coming out. Obviously, that's going to be, because it's going to be such a pivotal moment for them.
Yes.
I think they're holding back on announcements for any other movies that they're going to be throwing in because they need to make sure that Civil War's received well, and then they can start the plans for any further characters. So She-Hulk could be on the plans, Miles Morales could be on the plans.
Yeah.
Kamala Khan is coming into the animated series as well now, so she'll be on the cards.
Her popularity since she was introduced has been explosive, and that's not her powers. As well as saying Black Widow needs a movie, Robert Downey Jr. has also said that Hawkeye deserves a film as well. There are so many different ideas, like, one idea is what happened in Budapest, as referenced in the first Avengers movie. We could have a Hawkeye and Black Widow film there. But Jeremy Renner has mentioned more recently that he'd love to do a Hawkeye Netflix series.
Yes.
Now, if you have Hawkeye Netflix series, you can introduce another key character in any Marvel continuity whose backstory suits the Netflix tone ideally. Kate Bishop. And you can have Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye training the next Hawkeye, Kate Bishop's Hawkeye. And the series could...
I loved Kate Bishop.
And
Kate Bishop was a fantastic character in the Young Avengers.
And the series could just be Hawkeyes, and there you go.
There are 4 things on my Netflix wish list for Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hawkeye, obviously, with Kate Bishop.
Yes.
A Young Avengers series, which features Stature, Patriot, all of the characters in there, including Kate Bishop. Obviously, we get Hulkling part Skrull Part Kree. There is also on my wish list for Netflix to have a Batgirl series based on Babs Tarr's Batgirl, who is leaving sadly on issue 50. Surprise.
Of course, we're going beyond just Marvel now. So.
Yeah, it is on my wish list to have on there, because it would be a really good series. But above all that I want on my wish list from Marvel and Netflix is a Runaways television series.
Yes.
Runaways was one of the most successful comics that ever appeared back in 2005. It is basically, what would you do if you found out your parents were supervillains?
Yeah.
And these kids...
It's a great concept.
It's a great concept. These kids discover it, and they literally run away and decide to fight back against their parents. It is every teenager's dream.
Yes.
To fight back and rebel against your parents.
Yeah.
And the characters are fantastic, and I urge anybody to actually pick up a Runaways comic. And Marvel, you must be listening. If you're not, I will come over there and I will kick you in the kabuto until you do Runaways. The plan was to have a Runaways movie, but because of the success of the Avengers, they shelved it.
Yeah.
Which is a pain. But Netflix, you can get the first series of comics in there nicely, and then the second series of comics, because it is a fantastic read.
And all this, basically, because Netflix is where Marvel TV is at its prime, really.
Yeah.
They hit the ground running with the quality. Sticking with Netflix, the next series to hit our accounts later this year will be Luke Cage.
We've already met Luke Cage, and he's good.
And we love,
Jessica Jones has got to be appearing in that series as well.
She can't not appear with Luke Cage.
I know.
You know, as we've already established. But I absolutely loved the preview for Luke Cage. And one character I am excited to see in the Luke Cage series is Misty Knight.
Yes.
Because I learned about Misty Knight from a toy review of Marvel Legends figure. And in that review, it told us a little bit about the character as well. And I thought, that is brilliant. I want her to be in the MCU, not just because one of her arms has been replaced by a mechanical arm, not unlike the Winter Soldier, but it was an arm made by Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if this Netflix version of Misty Knight will have a similar arm upgrade. And that's going to be a brilliant connection to the wider MCU.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of superhero stuff to look forward to, lots of things to digest coming up soon. But just have to finish on a backtracking note, because since the last episode it was announced that Alien Day is coming on the 26th of April. Why that date in particular, you may ask? Well, in the American way of naming that date, the date will be 426. That's the numerical designation of the planet we first came across Xenomorphs in the Alien movies. So lots of companies, especially lots of merchandising companies, are coming together to celebrate Aliens Day, especially NECA, Kotobukiya, Sideshow, Collectibles, all coming up with special products. NECA in particular will have the first ever figures of Jeanette Goldstein's Vasquez with a smart gun and Carrie Henn's Newt. The first time either of these characters will ever be produced as figures, and I'm totally excited for both of them. So yeah, plenty to look forward to, and I shall say thank you very much to our guest, Mr. Polka.
I think we should do this in the sign-off of the traditional British comedy in memory of one of our great legends who's sincerely passed on.
Yes, indeed.
So it's good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
We hope you can throw sci-fi at the wall with us too, next time you tune into the Fandomain!